is this concept of, judging ourselves. So I want to talk about the impact of how we judge ourselves, and how, a lot of us maybe, somewhat all of us in certain ways, shape, or fashion may be uncomfortable with our past that is causing us to incorrectly judge ourselves. Now, what we must understand is that the past, or our past experiences, are a part of our spiritual paradigm. And so they become a part of our spiritual network. And when we are uncomfortable with the past, when we are, angst, when topics of the past are brought up, or where we may be just having a flow of thought that something from the past may come up, and that causes us to be in a state of uncomfortable, or be in a state by which we are horrified of what happened in the past. So I want to talk about that, because if we don't solve this problem, we will continue to cause ourselves much pain and suffering moving forward. What ends up happening when you become uncomfortable with the past, you end up pushing it deep into your spirit. It's still a part of your spirit, but it becomes a asymptomatic cancer. The more that it coagulates, the more that you get all the things that you are uncomfortable with based on your decisions from the past, the more that becomes a cancer within your spirit. And I use the term asymptomatic because you don't necessarily know it's there, but it's impacting your benediction. It's impacting how you are able to increase your wealth moving forward. As a matter of fact, through this judgment, we are actually causing ourselves malevolence and preventing the flow of benefit or blessings from the universe. Because this cancer is there, it continues to grow. Even though you may not sense that it's there, it continues to grow. It continues to be a major part of your personality complex and how you project to other people, unbeknownst to you, because you identify with the complete ego complex, and this concept becomes a part of that, where you might make the false conclusion that this is just kind of who you are, but you don't really look at objectively how who you are is projecting in the world, and it's increasing or decreasing your blessings. Now, in Kemet, we call this concept OPEP, and OPEP was a parasitic worm. And the thing about a parasitic worm is that it takes resources from you without you knowing it. Most people don't know that they have parasites until symptoms start to present themselves. So the ancestors use a beautiful metaphor for this concept. When you are uncomfortable with the past and you continue to bury things deep in your past, that the consolidation of that and the trying to attempt to hide it within your spirit, to keep it away from your consciousness, becomes a cancer within you and completely implodes your ability to get the maximum benediction, the maximum blessings from the universe. So let's talk about that today. Let's talk about the Ma'asah and what the Ma'asah says about this. Now, the only reason why you're uncomfortable with your past is simply because you have been built or developed this concept of right or wrong. So because the only reason why you can become uncomfortable with your past is because you think that something that you did can actually be equated in categories of right or wrong. But what the Ma'asah teaches us is that there is, in actuality, no such thing as right or wrong. The one witness, there's one indivisible witness manifesting through all beings, manifesting as you. There's one witness, the source, manifesting through us, witnessing our actions. This entity brought the universe into manifestation for its benefit. So in actuality, this entity cannot be, that the experience of this entity cannot be quantified as right or wrong, because that would include that this entity that brought the universe into manifestation lacks intelligence. So I want that just to sink in. There is no such thing as right or wrong. And we're going to discuss how that comes about. There is only one experiencer manifesting through the experience of all people. The concept of right or wrong cannot exist because all experiences that takes place in the universe are a part of the system of bringing us into higher awareness of our benevolence and our ability to experience receiving and giving that. So therefore, the concept of right or wrong does not exist. All situations that you go through can be quantified as either malevolence, by which that action decreased the well-being of self manifesting in you or in another, or it can be quantified as benevolence, by which your action with that person, towards you or for them, increased the well-being of self manifesting in you or others. Self cannot manifest in right or wrong, but it can manifest in states of diminishing its ability to fulfill its maximum potential. We call that malevolence. Or it can manifest in states of benevolence, by which it increases and maximizes the potential of its success. So, according to the Ma'asah, there is only one witness, and this witness brought the universe into manifestation for benediction, to experience blessings as a source of itself. Therefore, the concept of right or wrong cannot exist. All right, so now let's discuss the concept of right or wrong so we can get a good understanding of what I'm talking about. Is cheating on your spouse or your partner, is that right or wrong? And this is a rhetorical question, but just think about it. Tell me or tell yourself exactly what is wrong with that. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you're intimate with someone else outside of your spouse. Is that right? Is that wrong? Is sex wrong? Sex is an experience that exists within the universe, so therefore it cannot be quantified as right or wrong. So what's wrong with it? If a person goes out and carjacks somebody, is that right or wrong? To take a car from someone else and drive that car around? Is that quantitatively wrong? Is it right? Is cheating on your spouse wrong? Is that right? Is repeatedly breaking your diet, knowing that it's going to cause you health challenges, it's going to cause you, for you to miss your health goals, is that right or wrong? What's wrong with it? What's right about it? You see, in reality, in actuality, there's no such thing as right or wrong. There's no such thing as wrong for sex. There's no such thing as taking a car from somebody as being right or wrong. You see, the only way we can come into those judgments of right or wrong is simply because of the ego of myself or others. In other words, the concept of right or wrong has been projected upon you by the sahu of others and by your sahu. But in the reality of self and consciousness, it's impossible for these things to be in the context of right or wrong. Society creates these ancillary do's and don'ts to manage the overall outcomes of all the people. All right. And these ancillary do's and don'ts becomes the way that we describe the infinite source, something that goes beyond experience. We take these 10 to 15 principles and we quantify this infinite entity into these illogical paradigms of right or wrong. And that's what eventually causes us to that false judgment of ourselves, that incorrect judgment of ourselves, the being uncomfortable with our past causes us affliction. You can only quantify right or wrong based upon your ego, ancillary do's and don'ts that that's been developed by society, the super ego that Freud called it, or you can experience right or wrong through the projection of somebody else understanding the right or wrong. Their ancillary do's and don'ts that they project on other people. Some people in your life can come into your life and out of love and truly trying to benefit you, can put you in a false judgment about your past actions. out of love of trying to make you better, can inappropriately and inadvertently cause you to judge yourself for your past. Now, this is not the same thing as dwelling in the past, because dwelling in the past, a person who dwells in the past is always bringing up the past to quantify what's going on in their life right now. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the part of you that you feel uncomfortable with, that has become a cancer in you that you must rid yourself of. Because in actuality, there's no such thing as right or wrong. And how we, as the source, as expressions of the source, we are infinite and eternal. There's no block of laws or codes that can put us into a state of understanding. We have to understand to quantify our existence as being in the categories of malevolence and benevolence. But nobody can quantify source. Nobody can categorize source. Nobody can box in source as right or wrong. But this is what we have allowed our society to do. So every time the notion of your past comes up, you get angst, you get irritated, you get angry. You may be sitting around one day and just driving down the street and the Sahu throws up something from your past. Or it may have been triggered. It may have been triggered by a tree. It may have been triggered by somebody you saw with a certain color on, a certain perfume. And now you're in angst. Because you have quantified an inaccurate and unreal position of these limitations on your consciousness, these limitations of right or wrong that has put you in a state of falsely judging yourself. So you have to become comfortable in your past. And notice I didn't say enjoy everything. I didn't say enjoy your past because, if a person has been, let's say, raped, nobody's asking them to enjoy that experience. But what we are understanding, what you have to understand is that you as source, you are eternal and infinite. So that little thing that took place should not define your reality, should not be something that you're uncomfortable with. You should receive it and allow it to project in your person the ability to manifest benevolence moving forward. So here's what I'm asking you to do before we get into meditation today. We need you to be comfortable with your past. Understand that all things can manifest are manifested through benevolence and malevolence. What's wrong with cheating on your wife? Well, quantify that from a state of benevolence and malevolence. What is your wife benefiting from that interaction? What is your spouse benefiting from that interaction? What is the other person truly benefiting from that interaction? Or is your selfishness, your lust, your licentiousness that's in your spirit, is that projecting you to manifest malevolence both to this person that you're cheating with and to your spouse? You see, you cannot right wrong. That's impossible because the quantification of right or wrong makes it inflexible and immovable. So you cannot quantify right and wrong, right? You cannot change wrong to right. That's impossible. But what you can do is turn malevolence into benevolence. You cannot duplicate right because right is in the eyes of the beholder. So you can't turn wrong to right. And see, that's one of the things that we are prone to do. And that's one of the reasons why we cause ourselves affliction. If you quantify what you've done in the past as wrong, it is impossible to change that paradigm. And you spend your life trying to make it right, trying to maneuver yourself to make it right when it's impossible to make it right because it is an experience that you experienced. But if I look back at that situation and realize, this act cause me malevolence, cause somebody else malevolence. And guess what? I can use that experience to change myself moving forward to make sure that now my actions are what? Benevolent. Can sex manifest into benevolence? Absolutely. Can a spouse have relationships that are benevolent to all parties? Absolutely. If I steal your car, can I make you whole again? Can I bring you into states of benevolence? Can I change the act to be more benevolent? Yes, you can. Can I get a car and still be in the states of benevolence, by which I'm not diminishing the well-being of self in my person and in others? Yes, you can. Can I change wrong to right? No, you can't. So what we want to do today and use this meditation today is that we want to go back into those situations and understand them for what they are. Just to teach us to be more benevolent towards each other. Just to teach us to be more benevolent towards ourselves. Just to teach us that that property is important in this world. Some of y'all spend more time getting better at manipulation than getting better at being benevolent. Because what you're doing you think is wrong and you're still doing it, you're manipulating people to accept you're wrong. When the source brought the universe into manifestation for its benefit. And we must adapt our strategies in the world in a concept of benevolence. And what you will find is that everybody in your life will love you because your actions are bringing them into a state of benevolence, even though your actions are not directly impacting them. We can change the nature of our society just like that if we get rid of the concept of right or wrong and focus our attentions on being benevolent. My actions, I want to make sure my actions are true to myself, true to who I am, true to my destiny, but those actions also, in my own way, uplift the self and others to fulfill their maximum potential. And there's nothing in your life that you cannot categorize in that concept. You can eat and be benevolent to you and be benevolent to others. You can exercise and be benevolent to you and be benevolent to others. You can have sex and be benevolent to you and be benevolent to others.